Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast, the weekly live extension of the largest and most read arts and entertainment publication in northeastern Pennsylvania. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. And tonight we're here with Black Nihil, a black doom metal band from Scranton, who released their debut EP at Karl Hall in Wilkes-Barre on Saturday, December 7th, with Black Hole Heart, Cut Up Naked Teenagers, and Lucas Hex. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves and what you do in the band.
James Simon, I play bass.
Anthony McGrainer, I play guitar.
Aaron Ferranti, vocals.
I'm Gabe and I play drums.
So we're talking about bringing black metal to the local music scene, their ritualistic and theatrical stage show and how it helps them transform on stage, filming their horror movie-inspired music video, playing at Darkenheavy in a Satanic Rave. We'll find out what that is. Organizing a party bus for their release show, and much, much more. So please stay tuned for the full hour. We would love to hear from you guys. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to add to the conversation, leave that down below. We will get to those later in the show. We'll read them out loud, and we'll answer them as we go. But before we get to the interview, we want to plug our sponsor real quick, the V-Spot. The V-Spot is one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. This week, they have Dave Brown of the Dishonest Fiddlers playing tonight. Adam McKinley of Sue's will be there on Thursday. Old Friends is performing on Friday. Jugdish is reuniting again for a show on Saturday. And DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday. The NEPA Scene Rising Talent open mic ended last night. We had a huge turnout. Thank you to everybody who came out to that. It was a little bit of a chaotic night that went a little later than we usually do because we had to fit everybody in. But I think we all had a good time. There was a lot of good acts, a lot of different stuff. So this coming Tuesday, November 26th, will be the final showcase. So every week of those 12 weeks that we did the open mic, people voted for their favorite acts. So the 12 winners from the last 12 weeks are going to go on to the final showcase. Now, they've already won some money, but the big money is next Tuesday. There's $250 cash, a video production from Ionic Development, some prizes from Samuel Adams and LT Verastro. We're also going to have the Fireball Girls there giving out free shots of Fireball, so it's going to be a great time. I'm sure it's going to get pretty crazy by the end of it. So that is this coming Tuesday, November 26th at the V-Spot. Doors at 7, show at 8. We're going to have 12 different acts. I'm going to read them off real quick. We have Frank Marzinkowski, Duds, Malpractice, Available Credit, Michaela Clark, Jim Lomo, Shadaman, and Cantai, which is Katie Evans, Candy V, and Shiny Montini. Those are the music acts, along with stand-up comedians Yusef Quandry, Ellen Doyle, Jackie Nash, and Angelia Petrillo. So they're all performing 12 different acts. It's going to be a really cool, fun variety show. Free shots. Tickets are on sale now at nepacene.bigcartel.com, our online store. So you can get T-shirts. We just got our hoodies in, so thank you to everybody who ordered our hoodies. We just did a limited run of those, and that's it. So this is one of those. We also have zip-up ones as well. But I actually have your T-shirt with me. Thank you for buying a shirt. So anybody who bought T-shirts, all that stuff is going to be going out this week. So if you did order it, that should be in your mailbox pretty soon. We're sending them all out. I sent a bunch out today. I'll send a bunch out tomorrow as well. So thank you to everybody who supported the site through that, and please come and support us this Tuesday. All the money that we make at the door goes right back into the prize money, or it comes out of my pocket. So I much prefer that it come out of the door money, so please show up to that for my sake, but also to support local arts and entertainment, because there's a lot of really cool acts, and I'm not just saying that. There's a lot of really interesting stuff. Every final showcase is completely different. You never know who's going to walk through the door. So there's a lot of good music there, a lot of good stand-up comedy. So it should be an interesting night. All right, so let me start this conversation, James, by telling me how you discovered black and doom metal and why that inspired you to start this project.
Well, doom metal I've been into. I mean. Technically, probably my whole life, because I was a huge Sabbath fan growing up and stuff like that. And, but black metal I found a little bit later in life. It was probably like within the last 5 or 6 years that I actually like it resonated with me for some reason. I don't think it really did before. I mean, I always thought the imagery was cool that I would see and stuff like that, but it never was really that appealing. But for whatever reason, you know, you find these different bands, different times in life, I guess, you know. I don't know if you watch, you know who Dean Del Rey is? Did you ever hear his podcast? Let There Be Talk. Let There Be Rock, or Let There Be Talk.
Okay.
Right? So it's like a, you know, he's a huge like music fan, and he was a musician for years, and now he's like a stand-up comedian, opens for like Bill Burr and stuff like that. But he was just having, he had that now plays with Dead and Co. John
Mayer.
John Mayer. He had him on the other day, and they were talking about when they discovered like the Dead, and it was like much later in life. Dean was like, he's like, my whole life I hated the Dead, and you know, and then whatever, it just clicked. You know, you find these different bands at different times of your life, I guess, and for whatever reason, I think it resonated with me in the last like 5 or 6 years, and I kind of dabbled a little bit, and I listened to it a lot more. More specifically, second wave, like Norwegian black metal stuff, and everybody's seen those documentaries and all that. It's like fascinating and terrifying, like you know, all the things that went down. And but out of that, there's like I think there's a lot of like really good music that came out of it, and you know, I was just really stoked on it. And then most recently, as you know, I was in These Idle Hands, and I came from a doom band, and that was really great. We had a lot of fun and made some good music, and I kind of switched it up and then played some rock and roll for a while. And then I was like really missing playing heavy stuff, you know, and I was just kind of like working on some stuff on my own, kind of thinking about what I was going to do. Like I was thinking about just doing like a side thing or whatever, and me and Aaron have been friends for years, and we've never in a band together, and you know, he's a huge metal fan like me, you know, and so we started talking about it, and started jamming, got a couple guys together. We have a different lineup now than we did initially. Gabe came on only a couple months after our first show, I think. But yeah, it just kind of blossomed from there, I guess. And it wasn't really meant to be like, you know, black metal, like setting out to like make a Burzum record or something. It was just,
Right.
It was just kind of like the mindset, like me and Aaron were kind of on the same frequency, and you know, obviously his vocal style for this band in particular is pretty black metal, you know. But as a band, you know, do we have that vocal style and the aesthetic, and you know, there's pretty, you know, dark imagery, and it's just really dark in general, but you know, we don't really fit in the box of, you know, whatever generation of black metal you'd be talking about. I mean, we're definitely, there's elements of it, but we're not exactly that. There's the doom, and there's some, you know, post-rock parts, and there's some hardcore, and you know, these guys especially, they have deep roots in hardcore, so it's kind of like a mishmash of everything. But I mean, I guess for lack of a better term, you'd have to say that, you know, it's obviously that there's a strong influence to that, especially with the atmospheric and theatrical nature of the live show that we put together and stuff like that. But
so what made you guys want to get involved in this project and do this band?
Well, for me, Jim asked me to do it probably back in like January. It was like right as the band was starting, and the Hill You Die On used to share a practice space with our old band, Clever. So I got to know him a little bit through that, and I was working on like a little side project recording, and for whatever reason asked Jim to play bass on it, and he really knocked it out of the park. It's a shame like no one ever really got to hear what he did on it, but
They will.
it is a shame. Did a lot of work on it.
Put it out.
a little bit of it was in the Loyalty commercial.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we got to know each other through that and kind of bonded musically over that. And it was like, I was never really black metal oriented. I dabbled in it, but I came from like a more kind of like hardcore background as far as heavier music. But
You dabbled in the black metal?
a little bit, just a toe. I like dipped a
dabble?
toe in black
Dabbled in
metal.
black magic. And,
Yeah, but I dabbled, but that was
Dabbled
it.
do that?
Dabbled, do you? just working with Jim was awesome. So it was kind of like whatever he wanted to do, I kind of believed in because he just has an integrity about him where if he's doing it, then I kind of wanted to jump on it, be a part of it.
Yeah, kind of like when Anthony approached me, because I did drums on his little project, Ventriloquist, Young Machetes thing, and Jim played bass on it, so I knew like it could work as far as us playing together, because Jim's groovy ass bass player, Anthony's an awesome guitar player times a million, and Aaron, I've been in a band with him too, and he's just fun, and, you know, it was totally no brainer for me.
Yeah, and Gabe was at our first show.
Yeah.
And just came, to support, and I remember him being really enthusiastic about it, like really loved it, and I knew that really wasn't even his cup of tea or whatever, and he said for whatever reason he felt like he was going to be in the band, right?
Yeah, I just for some reason I was like, I don't know, just. And
so he was the first person, we thought of, obviously, and he jumped in, and I think it was like. I remember.
I think you guys gave me 2 weeks before the first show.
Yeah,
that was
and in the practice, I remember just being like, slow down a little bit. That was the only
so
thing.
used to playing
Everything was great, but it was just
everything was
he's
sped
like
up.
pushing it all the time. But after he got over that hump, it's been fucking awesome. Like it's just, we really, all of us just we write music together so well. And
I think it's just a chemistry. It's like any band that works for anything. It just something clicks. It's like so not you can't see it coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But us as buddies, I think, is the number one thing. Is like that's what makes it cool for me. You know.
Yeah. Like, the hang is
music
cool.
Just comes,
It's not labored. The writing process isn't labored at all. It's just like
same wavelength type shit.
Yeah, it just kind of just happens. It's
like our best buddy said, man, you got to hang out. So you got to be able to hang out with the people you're in a band with.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you want to be able to hang out with them in the band and outside the band. Yeah. That's how it works. It works good.
Yeah, especially due to the fact that you're in like a lot of times it's pressured situations, especially if you decide to tour or you're playing shows out of town, and like there's always something that's gonna get fucked up, and like you're in the trenches with them, so it's like you have to be able to like them, and that's we have a good thing. We enjoy each other's company, and
you like it's a communal bond that every band probably talks about on this show. It's just like when your friends already have that bond, but to like do something together, like you against the world type deal, and you go out of town and it literally feels that way. It's like oh, it's us against nobody knows us.
Yeah.
And it makes us even stronger together, and then we have a better show. I think what I mean. Like we played in Philly like last month, and it was one of the best shows we had. It was just great time.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Shout out to Bad Luck 13.
Yeah, Bad Luck.
Yeah, they're awesome. Aaron's been friends with Jason Goldberg for years and years through the hardcore scene and stuff, I guess. But we've played with them a few times now, and it seemed to be a good fit, because obviously they have like a lot of stuff going on. It's super theatrical, and it's always fucking wild. And beyond that, they're a really great band, So it's like it's cool. We like playing with them. So.
Oh yeah, they're crazy. Well, you saw them at Dark.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys listen to know Bad Luck 13, but they have this crazy stage show where they're all over the place. They're beating each other up and lighting stuff on fire and jumping off things, and it's totally nuts. It's like half circus, half band. It's just nuts.
It is a traveling circus for real. Yeah, it's great.
So is it when you're playing with a band like that, is that a challenge because like they're really up in the game in terms of like showmanship,
No,
so
because
you just kind of do your own thing?
Yeah, they're just going to come out and rip it anyway. So you got to rip it, and then you do your thing, and they're just going to come out and crush it anyway. So
no matter what you do.
Yeah, whatever, like, it doesn't matter how, exactly what he said, it doesn't matter how great we're going to do, they're going to like, they're just going to fucking, it's going to be 10 times that anyway. As far as like,
ourselves on fire.
People are gonna remember some guy bleeding all over the stage.
Right, exactly. Like
else
Aaron's apparently not willing to cut his head open, so
not
he can't really.
yet. But who calls for a fire thrower and a guy comes out of the the crowd and spits fire.
Right.
That was just the guy who was making the hamburgers, though. That
Yeah,
was,
he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
we got burgers from earlier in the night. I'm like,
best
that's the
burger
fucking
ever.
dude in the burger thing.
How did
And he
that-
just happened to be a fire breather.
That's nuts.
Their French
didn't know
fries
that.
were amazing.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
French fries.
And then he was doing it during the other band sets, and I think the other bands are like, I guess we're going with this.
Yeah.
Like he's just in the middle of the
Yeah.
crowd,
Oh, yeah.
swinging fire around.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like even steering it back to our band because we have a stage show, and like for me, like I think that's part of the whole package for something. Like I love going to see an actual theatrical show, whether it be with music or whatever. But like with a band doing that, nobody really does that and commits to it. Whatever it is, it's like.
Especially, local artists. Once
Yeah.
you reach a national level, then you can kind of get away with a little bit more.
Yeah.
They give you, they hand you a budget, for a stage show, that sort of thing. So on a small level like that, to see anything like that
You're right.
is impressive and interesting
Right.
to a local audience.
And we kind of like created it that way because we knew we were going to be playing small clubs, and like thought it out and like how can this work in those small settings,
Right.
And we kind of made it like a multi-layered art project at that point because you have the album. Okay, that's one part of it, which is the most important part, obviously.
Music.
And
always.
then you have like a theatrical performance, and then you have like the makeup, which some people think is like silly or goofy or whatever, and I guess it kind of is a bit. I can understand that, but like there is something special about it too. You know what I mean? Like there's there's all these different aspects of the project that are all like there's all these layers, and I think that A to B. I mean, granted, both bands, if they have like the music has integrity, it's great. But like, what would you rather watch?
Yeah.
If one of them has this really cool stage thing that's like kind of captivating and aesthetically pleasing, and like it's just more entertainment, So
Yeah.
I think and it works for us and it works for the music, absolutely, and yeah, it just works.
So for those who haven't seen your live show yet, how would you describe what you do on stage? It's kind of it's almost like watching a ritual of some sort.
Yeah, it is kind of. Although I know that black metal is like most bands are satanic, and then even some of them that like claim to be satanic really weren't. It was just kind of like
Gimmick.
the shtick or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we don't claim any of that. We're none of us are Satanists or we're not satanic. It's kind of just but I mean, I can see how it kind of looks that way.
The
a little
imagery
bit.
can suggest.
The imagery,
Yeah.
Sure.
And we're also far from a Christian act, so but it's basically like it is a little bit of ritualistic, but what we're doing is ritualistic. We do, we kind of like prepare for it. We do the makeup, and that's kind of like, at first it was kind of like an idea of the whole idea of what this project is that we're talking about. It was all kind of like thought out. Mm-hmm. And then when we started doing it, there was a little resistance from some members in the beginning, maybe, or whatever. But
I was weird about it at first, for sure.
Yeah, but then when we started doing it, like, we realized that it was like,
See, I was
something
too,
happened. Yeah, you were too, but something happens. Like,
Well, you think you're 40, you're in your 40s or whatever, and here I'm going to go put makeup on and stand in front of these people now.
Right.
But what I did was, and I just freed my mind. I just did. What's the difference? Like, who cares if I have makeup? And you know what? It's pretty awesome, man. You know, and it feels good to like get into that mode too. It's like a whole different. It's like a switch comes on.
It's like a character or something.
And I mean,
I liken it to war paint.
Yeah, that's
we
what
talked
Gabe
about
calls
it. Like for me, it's like you're going into it and you can. It's automatic. The switch is almost automatic when the paint goes on. It's like, all right, we're gonna go into this realm and we're gonna play the shit out of it, and But I think off stage, we're just what we are. Like we talk about, normal. But I think like the stage show is part of the whole package of Black Nihil. And we dig it. Like we dig to watch it like from the outside perspective. So like for us, it's so entertaining, you know, like it's that, and it means something to us, but not necessarily in any kind of ritualistic way. It's just like entertainment, I guess, for me. You know?
I mean, I think that it has become a ritual. Because if you look at like what a ritual is, like a repetitive thing that you do every time to make you feel a certain way, like it's like kind of like we're symbolizing something, and so then now that's what I said. It feels weird to do that like to wear the makeup anywhere else, because like when you put the makeup on and you do that thing, and we've shared so many experiences together where there's that energy that we're sharing together, and with whoever is there at the show and stuff like that. Like, it's become like, okay, well, now that's that, and this is that, this is this. You know what I mean? Like, when you put the makeup on and then do that when we're playing, like, we've had some shows where it's like, I don't even really. You're able to check out and go to another place.
Yeah,
Sure.
Almost like and I'm not saying it's just because of the makeup, but it's this is the first band where I've able to get to the next level, as far as to get to a meditative state where I feel like I don't really remember what I did. I don't have to think about changes or how many times is that verse, like what verse we got. Like, it just kind of like, almost like when you meditate. Like, it just kind of, I just went through it, and that ended up playing like one of the most flawless shows of our lives. And then it happened again the next time. It's kind of like everything started clicking. So there was that. And then with the makeup, you get into that character and you're in that zone and we're all together. And the nice thing about the theatrical thing is, like, we don't really communicate with the crowd or anything like that. We're kind of just in that character, in that place. Then the girls communicate everything that we need to, basically through the and it's subtle. It's not like a circus act. Like, it's subtle. You know, they come out and they show the gratitude for everyone in the room that decided to share the experience with us, and at the beginning and at the end, and then kind of do a little bits in the middle, and it's cool because we don't have to do that then, and you're the crowd. I think like the crowd still understands that you're very grateful and that you're thanking them, but we don't. If you want to see the difference in the makeup, like, talk to Aaron any other day of the week, and then watch him on stage, and it's pretty clear that
It's like
something
not the
has
same
happened.
person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and he doesn't remember. He's blacked out. Like, he has no idea what he did until he watched the video.
Every
remember a
band,
few things here and there.
yeah, but like every band will tell you that they have those moments on stage where like you leave your body.
Yeah, you
It
like
feels
go into a
like,
trance.
You go into like a trance, and that's like you chase that as a musician. I think.
This is the first band I've experienced that specific thing,
Yeah.
where I realized that, it felt like I didn't have to think anymore, and I just like,
That's like the goal of it.
Yeah.
For sure. For us, I mean.
So you have these women in robes come out, and they kind of drink what you could assume maybe is blood, but
Yeah.
it could be wine or anything else, and kind of like you would a religious ceremony, but a dark religious ceremony. Now with that kind of imagery and the makeup and everything like that, was there ever a fear that this area isn't exactly the most open-minded place on the planet? That they're going to take that the wrong way, or people are going to look at it as like, what are these people doing? Are they Satan worshipers? Are they whatever? Is that a concern at all, or is it just who gives a shit?
it's. I mean, personally, for me, it's not a concern. I don't really care.
It's not even something that's ever entered my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because I'm within it and I know there's no like
Sure, right.
no religious overtones in any direction, but
Yeah.
it's never entered my mind in the slightest.
And like everybody's pretty open-minded, that we like the circle of people that we're typically around, and like we've never seen it at a show where someone has felt that way about it.
Yeah,
It's
for
just,
sure.
You would assume that if somebody's coming to the show, they kind of know at least what they're getting into.
and they should want to go see
Yeah.
that.
Now, we've definitely encountered a bit more resistance booking locally compared to other projects that I've been involved with,
Right.
due to that, for sure. Because it is a concern, and I get it, a bar is a business, and that's weird. That's what's weird about it. Sometimes we're playing bars. We're trying to get, we're going to travel a lot more. We're going to get out there. We're going to do some touring in the spring, and we have a couple shows in New York City over the winter, and we're going to get out more. But locally, I understand, and it's not. I don't hold it against the bar owners because they're like, one in specific told me, he's like, what happens when, a girls come there for a bachelorette party for the first time? And they see that.
They walk in, they see girls.
They're never
robes
fucking coming back.
Right.
And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
So like,
It's
our
probably
booking
not
has
wrong.
become a little more limited.
But
not
you know
to
what,
mention,
Jimmy, let me ask you this: if you walk into a bar and you see that, you're sticking out. Like,
well, I am.
I know, but I would be like,
absolutely.
either way. I think I'm just like, this is sick. You won't forget it.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
Nah, you'll tell that story later.
Well, like the Ale House show, man. Like,
Yeah.
That's a prime example too. Like if you give us, I'm sorry, I didn't.
the last
Go ahead.
place that you would imagine us
Right.
playing.
And I'm just, I'm friends with the Nassers. They're the fucking best people. And so I get like one chance every year to play the Ale House. It's Halloween, because we can get away
You
with
can get
it.
away with it.
Right.
Yeah, it was a perfect.
So I'm like,
setting.
oh, can we do? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So okay, so we get and Mike Nasser does amazing lighting and like all kinds
Good
of effects
sound,
and stuff like that. So
everything.
he did like a screen like we did with The Hill You Die on a Halloween a couple of years back or whatever. And it was very evident that people went to the Ale House because it's a great place to go in the middle of the week, and it's like Halloween night. So some people are in costume, they come out, but it's safe to say that
They weren't expecting
the
us.
majority of it weren't really our crowd. The majority of the people in the building weren't really our crowd, but it was amazing to see
at the
that
end of the night there.
they dug it. It was really cool to see, and I don't know what that means. Like it's like I feel like that's a really good sign.
Sure.
Because
Makes it feel more universal, I guess.
it's for everybody. Like if
everybody,
I mean that's great. If more people like it, I'm all about it. I don't care. Like I don't care what your record collection looks like, or like if you're true metal or not. Like who gives a shit? Like I want you to like it. Like if it resonates with you, and that's all it needs to do. Like that's wonderful. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, look at a guy like Alice Cooper, for example. A guy who's straight Christian during the day, and then at night, and he talks about this in many interviews of putting on the makeup and you transform into this character, and you're playing. He's compared a lot of times to like Anthony Hopkins playing Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Nobody stops him on the street and goes, "You really eat people?
Right.
You
You're
sick
right.
bastard!"
Right. Yeah,
But people
that's a
would
great point.
say that to him, and it's like
Exactly.
no, it's a character
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
stage.
Right,
Like. And what otherwise I go golfing. Like
Exactly.
I'm not,
It's-
Right.
it's so
in
fun.
any crazy
Not
shit or
chopping
whatever.
girls'
It's just
heads
part
off
of the
with
show.
guillotine
you
and
know?
shit.
And
It's a
that's-
show, yeah.
And
That's what we're
I
saying.
think at this point he's mainstream enough that people understand that.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's not as much resistance as maybe there would have been.
I mean, look at all
20,
the
30,
all the
40
bands
years
that
ago.
came after that, like Marilyn Manson is like another Alice Cooper. you know?
Sure. Yeah, and
Not-
for a long time he was banned, and you couldn't
Yeah.
play here, and you couldn't, play his music or whatever. And now it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. It's
What
Marilyn
about
Manson.
Gigi, man?
Gigi Allen.
So that's a whole different ballgame.
If I see Aaron show up to show bananas,
Yeah.
we'll have a problem. But like that's the whole get, man. It's just like it's a show, and we want it to be a show. We want you to have fun. We're having fun, like it's nothing. It's more lighthearted if you open your mind to it. It's not so dark.
Yeah.
Like I know I, for one, when I go to see any band play, whether it be on a local level, national level, doesn't matter. It's like always kind of a bummer when you go see a band and they're just kind of standing there like statues in the
Oh,
clothes
for
that
sure.
like they mowed their lawn in,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like boring. Even
Yeah.
if they sound great, it's just like okay, this is cool, but there's no energy, there's nothing
Yeah, like, who cares?
exciting about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you might
that
as well
was
just play it on
something-
a jukebox.
Yeah,
if you're
like
not
that
just
was
gonna
something I
stand
was
there.
drawn to. It's like to have kind of just something theatrical to it to make it worth seeing.
Well, the live show is just another aspect. You know what I mean? Like I said, like we were saying before, it's another layer of the art.
Layer of the art.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So it should be something. You should care about it.
Sure. Nick, if you want to put up the picture of them in the makeup there, it is with the previous drummers, but we didn't have one that was.
By the way,
with the
can we
current.
just say our keyboard player is in here, Jamie?
Yes.
Shout out.
Yeah, he's in.
He's in France.
Just
right
so
now.
the viewers at home kind of get an idea of what you guys look like in the
Yeah.
makeup and stuff. I do want to talk about too the recording of the album itself. So you guys recorded in an old church in Wilkes-Barre here. at King Room Studios.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that process and putting the songs together?
Yeah, it was suggested by a friend to do it there. Just knowing, when I was talking to him, and it was like it was actually suggested by a couple friends for whatever reason. You know what I mean? I knew James. I met him a couple times, but I didn't really know. I was just like, okay, good, cool. So
Hey James, thanks.
yeah.
Great,
And,
great experience.
yeah, it was awesome. And
Awesome room.
so I just knew that I wanted to record it at the church, and I told these guys, and they were like on board with it. So we just, went and talked to them first, and then, we went and did the thing. And it was basically like a live recording. I mean, we busted it out in like half a night or whatever. Like it just, and we had to do a couple overdubs or whatever after that. But I mean, it was just basically, done live with no click, and just fucking rocked it out. And what it is, you know what I mean?
It's a great room for drums, by the way. Like,
Yeah, best sounding drums I've ever heard.
like,
So
Yeah,
for
being
me as
there,
a
it's
drummer,
like-
it was awesome for me.
Some natural
and
reverb.
cathedral
Yeah, it
ceilings.
sounded so good in there, and James was able to capture that vibe in the recording too. So, it's awesome. Yeah, I dug the experience personally.
Yeah, and then we were like, that's what I'm saying. Like everything, it just keeps like falling into place. We just show up and put one foot in front of the other, because we were like thinking about the cover, and we're like, I don't know, we didn't really want us on the cover, And Gabe took a picture with his cell phone of the church, and I was like, he's like, this would be kind of cool. I'm like, that's fucking it.
The actual church that we
That's it.
recorded.
That's where we recorded
So
it.
that's the cover of the album is
Right.
where
Yeah.
we recorded
And then
it.
Scott Kaharski went back and took
Professional.
And he's-
photo.
put photos of it, and then that was it. It was like just that simple. Like it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, and that's like the collaborative creative process too, is just like, the idea starts somewhere and then everybody just checks off, and it's so easy, it's just like, all right, let's do it, It's like not too much thought into all that, just
It's nice to bring other artists into the mix too, like photographers and
Local
like,
cats, yeah.
it's just
Oh, yeah.
really nice because they put their flavor on it also,
Right.
Yeah,
Because that's how people will, see the band, and
Right.
it adds to
Yeah.
the whole presentation
they're
part.
part of the team. That's
Definitely.
it. And thankfully we have such talented friends, like between photographers and videographers and
sound engineers and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Lucky for sure.
What are the songs about lyrically? What did you want to,
I mean,
did you want to add to that mystique of it, or
I-
are they more personal lyrics? Like,
I mean, I think I think a lot of the lyrics are kind of vague in a way, but I mean, they definitely mean something to us, and they're. I mean, being really truthful is you're becoming vulnerable when you're truthful like that. And I think a lot of the lyrics are, it's like kind of our place to put. That's where the dark shit comes in, because it's like, it's a way to take, if you're a human that's lived on this earth for any amount of years, you've probably gone through, betrayal and loss. Some of us like sickness and suffering and depression and
Grief in general.
suicidal, all that stuff, and everything. We lose people as we go through this life, and you just see there's just a lot of real emotional pain in life, and it's just part of it, and it's just part of it that you have to identify. And for us, that this is kind of like a purging of that stuff, whether your purging is some kind of blind rage that ends up getting screamed into the microphone and pounded on the drums, or
Cathartic.
it's exactly that. It's cathartic, and I think that there's a lot of integrity there, because we're just like kind of laying it all out, and all the songs really mean a lot to us, and we just kind of put it out there, and if it resonates with you, it's probably for a reason, and that's great, and it's a great way to all that negative shit. It's a great way to purge it and make something beautiful out of it and make art out of it. You know.
But there is something to be said as well for kind of leaving it open to interpretation, because I know there's, you know, songs that I connect with and I'm sure they're about a certain thing and I feel that same way.
Right.
And then you find out like why that person actually wrote that song and it has nothing to do with how you felt about it, and you're like, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
I love
So it's
that.
kind of, there's something to be leaving it kind of as a template for it's like,
Yeah, plug it in however you
yeah,
feel. I guess
you're feeling
you
the
know?
emotion, but you don't need to know the reason necessarily.
Yeah, that can spoil it sometimes.
Totally.
You know, if you know it's about something completely different, you're like,
Yeah.
kinda
Yeah,
this
like
is
it's
meaningless
personal
for
to
you.
us. Maybe
Right,
it can be
yeah.
personal to
Better
someone
to
else for
take
a
it.
different reason.
And
Right,
that's-
it's yours now. We put it out into the world. Now it's yours. You
Yeah,
do what you want with
it's
it.
like Aaron.
It's like-
I used to be in another band with Aaron, and I remember we were in the studio one time, and we're like, "Should we do a second take on this thing?" And he's like, "Dude, it's my art. I'm gonna leave it because that's where it felt the best." And I think that's kind of like, if you leave it and then give it away, you know, it could be anything to anybody.
But it's always going to be to you what you intended it
and
to be.
special in that moment.
Right. I mean, especially, I mean, you know, the last, you know, 6 months. I mean, a lot of them are really, you know, special to us because everybody is kind of emotional and things like that. But it's just like, you know, it means a lot to us, but you know, you can interpret it however which way you choose, and you know,
And
use
it helps. It helps too, man. Like it's an outlet, and then it's an outlet to let your anxiety out. It's an outlet to let your anything that you don't like, and you want to get that off your chest. Join a band and scream it out, or play
make
it out,
art,
or whatever you want.
paint.
Any kind of art doesn't need to be a
It's-
band.
it. Make fucking art. You know, that's it.
You know,
Grab
it's
a canvas and a brush or
Yeah.
whatever. Just
like, at least
create something.
And that's a way to turn something so dark into something beautiful. You made art that'll just be there forever now, and people can enjoy it or use it, and it's like.
And then
you
you're
know,
also healing yourself by
Yeah.
just getting it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's that kind of stuff that's you know.
You can tell that's how we all use music. Like, you know, personally, we're all on the same page. It's like we use it like an art and a therapy
Yeah.
to like purge whatever inside, whether it be lyrically, musically, you know, the whole nine. It's all there, and we all do it for that reason, which I think is pretty. It speaks to kind of the chemistry anyway, you know. So
I think any fan of like you know, heavy rock or metal or anything like that understands that, you know, and that's part of the whole thing. Anybody outside of that who doesn't really listen to metal or whatever, they don't get that that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
that purging and it's that getting.
and it's
that stuff
physical
out.
too when
right?
you're playing it live or like even when you're in the studio. It's a total physical thing too.
Mm-hmm.
You're, you know, I'm smashing the drums. He's hitting the bass strings as hard as he can. Anthony jumps around like a madman, and Aaron goes into a different space and goes crazy. It's physical, which is part of the catharsis, you know.
Right.
So it's all the above, man, for us.
I mean, I understand when, like you said, like people don't get it. Like I completely. Like, I've even had
Totally.
people where I'm like, you're not. It's just. It's not your cup of tea. I mean, it's probably not your cup of tea, and I get it. Believe me, I get it. But
Though we've been
if
surprised.
people, if it resonates with people, like, you know, you're more, yeah, awesome, you know. But
My mom dug our video. She was like,
I had
You also
like,
have the coolest mom in the world, though. So.
I had some people that were like, it was fucking disturbing. That was like the answer. It's like, well, it's not like.
I've gotten so many
Like,
mixed
did you ever
reviews.
see like the horror movie? It's like a mini horror. It's just a horror movie. Like, we're not, you know.
It is. It's
That girl.
like-
That girl's still alive. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's all good.
Living
like,
and
it's not,
breathing.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
it's
mean-
Cannibal Holocaust or something.
There's a difference between like say go out and do this and you know making it up for entertainment purposes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
and you know like some people just don't get that.
And we got to collaborate with James Callahan, and he was super
Oh, yeah.
passionate about the
Dude.
project. Super
And
Man,
passionate.
so
Jared,
awesome. They're
yeah.
the Camp Rattler, they're the best.
Yeah.
awesome team.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're
so
it's so much
professional.
fun.
The whole team, it was great.
It's James had an idea. We put our idea with his idea and let him roll with it. And I was pleasantly surprised. Let me tell you, it was great.
Me too.
Well, he's
It was a lot
definitely
of
another
fun.
one with his art like us. He kind of like I watched him go into a different space while he was like in creative mode. He becomes like one with the creation, like
Yeah,
just
like
as we do
director.
with music, he does with.
Yeah.
It was
that-
like
visual.
watching one of those like dirty grindhouse movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're
that's kinda
so
like-
you're watching that.
That's why I dug it. Yeah.
That's what's coming into your head while you're watching that, right? But on set, and we were doing it was nothing but love, and we're joking around and laughing, and we
Yeah.
couldn't stop
We're
laughing.
fucking
You know,
Right.
eating donuts
Like,
and shit.
you know.
Like, it's so like
you know. Actually, we had, you know.
anybody
It's great.
like I mean, let's honestly like anybody who's into movies like loves that gritty shit, you know, like, and that's kind of like how we like it. Like some of the best horror stuff is like even silly to a point.
Oh,
You know, and
sure.
you're just
I-
like, this is so.
The best horror has a lot of like comedic elements to kind
Yeah.
of release that
The tension,
you know,
exactly.
Well, yeah.
build up and stuff.
Which
Well,
we didn't
Rob,
have
Rob
any
Zombie
comedic-
movies, for instance, like
Sure.
holy shit, like there's all these parts where it's like really funny, or there's like really great music. It's like it is a release in between
Hotel
the
Hell.
brutality. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like yeah, absolutely.
Hostile.
We're gonna bury people
No, like,
to their neck.
so we're the comedic relief in our video. Is that what we're saying? Like,
Yeah.
when they cut to us, they're like,
Yeah, you get a
God.
breath in between.
look at that.
And you guys shot that in West Pittston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the woods?
In
It
like
was
yeah,
on-
it
it
was
was
like
on
right
the
next to a
bank.
riverbank.
It was right on the bank of the Susquehanna River.
Yeah, we were all set up in the woods, and it looked really cool.
Yeah, the
like,
final shot of the video is they used drones and they were panning out, and Gabe, you can see Gabe in the middle of this island in like kind of the middle of the river. And originally we were actually all standing up on the bank, but
That's
we
a
were,
beautiful shot, by the way. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Jared,
Like, Jared,
he's
yeah,
their
he killed it.
the cinematographer, and he was fantastic. Like I think the look of it's really cool too. You know.
Yeah, the whole team, everybody involved was awesome. It was like,
Everybody,
they worked
yeah,
really,
for
really
sure.
hard. The actors worked really hard. Everybody helping out worked really hard. It was just like, everybody was super.
Yeah, they lived
invested
and
in it.
breathed it
Sure.
for
Yeah.
sure.
If you missed it, by the way, we premiered it a couple of weeks ago. It is on our Facebook feed if you scroll down a little bit. But don't leave the show just yet. In
Check it
fact,
out, yeah.
we should get, if you have any comments, you have any questions, throw them in here. It seems we have quite a few from Sarah. She said, would love a signed photo of you guys to hang with the rest of her Black Nihil memorabilia.
Definitely.
She said,
Of
Black
course.
Nihil saved my life. So, you see, you guys are already
Wow.
getting
Thank you.
fans, touching people.
For sure, we'll do that. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
Kidding me?
absolutely.
Let's see. Jason Reed Miller says Anthony cuts his grass in stage clothes.
I do.
Ricky Wells says anything involving James Simon is pure talent. If you're looking for guests to talk about upcoming releases, my band is working on a record. Good plug.
Ah,
I
that
see
was
what you
sneaky.
did there.
Good job.
What is it? Wanna hear it.
smart.
Yeah,
That was sweet. Though.
You
Thank
should plug him just for how creative.
Yeah, yeah.
Black Horizon. They're
Oh,
fucking
cool,
good, man.
yeah.
It's good. I've seen them a couple times. It's cool. It's rash.
Let's see. Jay says Aaron is chill until he hits the stage and turns into a fucking monster. It's great.
That's true. It's
It
absolutely
is true.
I don't remember. Sorry. Sorry, Mom.
Mom watching?
Probably. Love you,
Hi,
Mom.
Aaron's mom.
Popco says I can't wait to play your music on Alt Natives and Alt 92.1. Another clever plug.
Oh, thanks so much.
You guys are getting good at this.
I'll
Hook
get it
us
right
up.
to you.
Yeah, play it.
Scott Kucharski says, Anthony, what's that ginger sandwich like?
I didn't even think of that.
We actually made that joke before the cameras were on that I was kind of sandwiched between them. So, all right.
Ask Scott Garski why he's still bent about that Tool show we saw 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's still really upset
They didn't want
about
any,
that.
any pictures taken with the cell phones or whatever, and he just can't let it go.
Yeah. 2 years later, he's still on about it.
He hates Tool so much, and it's like
Scott does.
yeah.
That sounds
Which
like
is funny
a
because
love thing.
he's dying to see Kiss, and I'm like, if you ever
What?
want an obnoxious,
Yeah,
egotistical bullshit
Right?
man,
Talking
Oh
about
my
Gene
God.
Simmons.
right?
Wow.
And he's dying to
Scott.
see Kiss, so he can get out of here with that. shit.
Real fucking nice.
Kiss,
Gene Simmons.
we love you. Scott.
Fucking
Kiss on
worst.
tour?
Yeah, 12 farewell
Gene
tours
Simmons
later.
is the worst. Oh my god.
I thought they were done after Psycho
I just got
Circus.
that. I bought that new Rainbow documentary, and every time Gene Simmons came out, I'm like, fuck. I can't even handle it. Ugh.
Probably pushing like a Kiss Prius now or something. We got a tour.
Here's this bass for 10
Here's
grand
the
that I
product.
touched. I actually played. I'll send you a video of me playing it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Jay says, if you haven't seen these guys yet, make sure you go out and see them. They're super tight, in-your-face metal. Let's see.
Thank you.
Joe Caviston commenting, so I remember to listen later when I don't have a screaming baby on my arm. Congrats, by the way.
Congrats.
congrats, man.
Mr. Donk Bronson. We all know
That's
who that
Dave.
is.
That's Dave Klein right there.
He says, I'll have your guitar done this weekend, hopefully.
You said that last weekend, Dave.
What is he? He's leaving a comment like your grandfather does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in the middle of the thread, it's like
See
Very,
ya.
very much.
some shit he could have
He's
called.
leaving a comment on Walmart's page like, have you seen my grandson?
He also took the time to plug his band, The Aegean,
Naturally.
who we've
These
had
guys
on
are
the
cool
show
band.
before.
Yeah, we played with them
Yeah, I
a
loved
few
it.
times.
I did their live show. I loved
They
it.
fucking rip. Yeah, that's great.
Let's see. My Uncle Steve, he said, saw you guys a few times. Will you be doing Dark and Heavy again next year?
Yeah,
Hey.
I would
Yeah,
say
that's
so,
up to
absolutely.
Callahan, but if he asks us, we'll absolutely say it.
Yeah, we'll do it for sure.
I'd do anything for that man.
And AJ said, I went from 6 to 12 as soon as this podcast came
Of
out."
course he
So-
did.
I was waiting for him.
Yeah, I was waiting. Is AJ going to comment?
6 to 12.
He's a great person to have on your side. He's a great supporter.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. He's
Thank
the
you.
best.
Love that
Hi,
dude.
AJ.
Love you, AJ. Gonna come have a White Claw with you after this.
White Claws.
Ooh.
Get ready for White
Pitter
Claw
patter.
Wednesday.
Let's get at her.
Patrick Nasser says they killed it at the Backyard Ale House.
Thank you.
No, thanks.
That was fun.
Thanks for having us, Brad.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, God.
Scott, in response, is James Simon is my 2019 Gene Simmons.
Scott.
That's a low blow.
What a dick.
Fucking Scott. It's always Scott.
So the music video comes out, and you guys get to see it on a big screen at the NEPA Horror Film Festival.
Yeah.
Which was a great night, by the way. We sponsored that, and I
Bobby
had a
Keller,
blast at
yeah.
that. Yeah, shout out to Bobby.
Bobby Keller's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember going there as a kid and all through the years, and it's pretty awesome,
Do you remember getting in your dad's van when you had to get underneath the seat and they drove in so you get in?
Yeah,
So you had
yeah.
to sneak in.
I was in
hide
a
under-
trunk or two.
I was
for
under
sure.
a pile of blankets.
Totally.
I think I owe them like, maybe so that was the
Yeah.
80s, so probably I owe them about $20. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's
Sneaking
great.
yourself in there.
Next to the cooler.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty awesome to see it on the big screen for sure. Yeah.
So, tell us about some of the shows you played. We posted a video earlier today. You guys did a Satanic Rave at the Barbary in Philadelphia. So tell us a little bit about that show. and how it went.
That was bad
Another-
luck 13.
Another bad luck.
Satanic Rave 21 because it's the 21st anniversary of the first one, which was the infamous one. That you see all the clips about.
On the news. and
That's
shit.
I think that's I don't even. What's it
Satanic.
called? There's no doubt in my mind it's satanic.
It's satanic.
Yeah, it was.
It's still good to this day, those people saying that.
Yeah, it's great. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's the report of it is fucking phenomenal. But apparently, it's been 21 years. Yeah, that they've been doing it. So again,
It was a blast,
Aaron's
man.
been friends with them forever. So
Yeah, they asked us
It
to
seemed
be a
like
part
the
of
kind
it.
of crowd that would love you guys. That
It
we
was,
had.
yeah, it was
It
always
was-
like home.
it was awesome.
Yeah,
Did feel
it was fun.
like that.
And it's tough to play in Philly too sometimes, because they have so much stuff there. They have so much, and it's tough to actually have people listen to you while you're playing down there too.
But that crowd,
So,
especially,
but we
they
had a great time, and I felt they were, listened. We listened to our music, which was nice,
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they were very
good time.
attentive to us, and we were the only band on that lineup that was kind of, all the other bands were much like kind of more hardcore or thrash tinged, where they were real
Okay.
fast, real loud, real rowdy.
good
Right.
stuff.
So we were, yeah, they were all awesome, and we were kind of almost like the odd one out even on that bill because no one played kind of slower like we do or more doom influenced like we did, and yeah, the crowd seemed to really be into it. It was
That's
cool,
the
like, and they
beautiful thing
were
about it.
all attentive and into it, and it was just something like I'd never seen before in any of the bands I've been in.
It felt like home to be in front of that crowd, just because it was the first time that we got to go somewhere where it was just like nobody knew us, and they were there for a fucking metal show. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
boy, did they get it.
it was it was great. It was really great.
Well, I guess, man, Mike I think he broke his leg.
Did he really?
Yeah. When he dove off the bar into the crowd there,
Well,
I think
a
he
quick, like,
hooked there.
When we were playing Darkenheavy and I saw the guy backstage winding up the barbed wire, I was like, oh shit, you know, like I was so stoked because they didn't. Last time we played with them at the Wolf Pub or something with a different band.
Carl
Was it
Hall was the
Carl?
last.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was the last time we
That's
played
right.
with them, but you
Yeah.
weren't there yet.
But Karl Hall, and they didn't do all the theatrics, maybe because they were inside and they didn't have the venue for it. But once I saw that shit going down, I was like, got me fired up.
What did we play? 6 shows, and we played 3 of them with Bad Luck.
I know, right? They're our benefactor. No, it's cool because they hook it up and they like coming up here to play it too, you know. So
Yeah, cool fucking guys.
Maybe
Great
there's,
band. I enjoy
maybe
them.
there's a
Great
summer tour gonna be set up or something. Who knows?
yeah,
You know,
those
they're
guys
great
are super
guys,
cool.
and you know,
I think that's part of it. Like everyone kind of wants to. There's a lot of camaraderie in metal, which everybody that's ever played in
sure.
it, to a certain extent, I should say, because
Yeah.
there is some bullshit out there too.
yeah.
But like if there's a band that you're friends with, they want to help you. You know, we want to help people too. Like if we could, we want to get to that point where we can. You know, but like we're really grateful for everyone who's helped us out with any shows, anything.
Kidding me?
You know what I mean? Like we can't do it without all that. You know.
And it's also not limited to metal. Like we'll have Lucas Hex, who's awesome. You know, we'll have him play with us as much as like possible, as much as he'll
Which is like a
you know
hip-hop
jump
thing.
on.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he'll open our shows, and there's always this moment of like I'm sure he has of like I'm a hip hop act getting ready to open for a metal show, but like he
Right.
always kills it. He's awesome.
That's the beauty about it. You know,
No, yeah, it's gonna be a really mixed genre show.
open your mind. You know.
For and
Yeah, same with the album release. It's
Yeah,
completely.
let's talk about that. So you guys have a great lineup for that. You have Black Heart, you have Lucas Hex, and you have Cut Up Naked Teenagers, is kind of an up and coming punk band in the area. They just put out their new album. We've premiered some of their music videos, which they also did with Camp Rattler.
Yeah, Camp
So you got
Rattler
a cool mix of different stuff, but all kind of I could see. If you like one, you'd probably like the others. You know, like it's definitely a
They're all-
cool package.
yeah, it's
symbiotic,
vastly
yeah.
different, but like I could see somebody liking the whole lineup. Absolutely, yeah.
Something for everybody.
It's going to be a really fun night, and I think that Lucas Hex is my apprentice at the shop, like, and that's how kind of that whole thing started. And I started. I do listen to some rap, but I'm not much of a rap fan. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then
Just
I'll be right back.
MC Hammer. Who else do you like though?
I think you offended Aaron.
Close up.
I think you offended Aaron.
You saw it.
oh, I thought he shit his pants. Maybe he didn't shit his pants, but so yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like hanging out and talking about. I see like what kind of drive he has and like what he's trying to do, and it's different and it's cool and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, fucking top on it.
And it was when we last played at what was it, the Karl Hall show? I think with Bad Luck 13, wasn't it?
Yeah, no,
No, it was after that.
it was a different one. Yeah,
But he
Yeah, it was the
opened for
one
us, and it was
with
it was the
Klein's
one with
band.
Klein's band.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was the only
And God's
remotely
Space.
hip hop artist on that, and he opened it, and it was like he killed it. Like everyone seemed to be really
'cause
into it. He was awesome.
He's got like conviction, you know. That's
Yeah, his
he's
energy
into
is-
it. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
integrity.
That
Yeah,
gets you.
that's
You
it.
know, it's like
and
type
I mean
of shit he
it's
did.
kind of dark as well, so it kind of blends in a little bit. There's some metal to it. It's hard, like it's,
Yeah, I remember talking to him when we premiered some of his music a while ago, and he said about how he's influenced by a lot of those bands. That he might not sound like them, but he comes from a punk and hardcore
Yeah.
metal
Yeah,
background.
He's
that's
totally
his
like
background.
watching him is like he's in the pit, like he's just
Right.
throwing his legs around.
yeah,
It's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, we actually with Clever when we do the stuff with Mercy Gang, in the like years ago, in the early days of doing those mashups, he would play with us. He went under a different name at the time. I don't remember what it was. It was like Drew Breeze or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he used to stomp. We Clever like Mercy Gang has a DJ, and he would stomp so hard that he would skip
his own
the
record.
entire
Yeah.
like record because he was just going like that. So he always had that in him. Like
cool.
Yeah.
he has this like raw energy about him. It's awesome. What is Aaron doing?
I was just checking to make sure everything was right. You know, I gotta make sure.
I'm getting cold over
Yeah,
here.
I just
Come on.
wanted to go see that Buddha with the dick in there.
You can't bring
That
them
made
out.
my day, actually. That little guy.
And you guys are doing something fun with this too. You're doing a
Lumber.
party bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go from Scranton to Wilkes-Barre for all those people that refuse to cross the county line for whatever reason it is. Scranton people won't go to Wilkes-Barre.
usually
Wilkes-Barre people won't go to Scranton for
The
shows. I don't know
drive.
what it is.
Yeah,
but-
it's probably the drive, which we're trying to eliminate.
I get
for,
it.
For
I
everyone.
understand it, and we're trying to rectify it for this show. It's like,
Yeah, and Karl
So-
Hall is like a bring your own beer. You know, like it's just gonna be a party. You know, we should all just treat it as such. You know?
Well, it's a great venue for something like this too.
For sure.
You know, it's,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of other places I can think of in Scranton that would really work for this.
You're
type
right.
of
No.
show, you know?
I
Right.
agree.
No, without
so we
100%.
decided to get a bus, and it's going to be, it's the whole thing. It's
Wait,
we're
is it
gonna-
all ages too?
Yes, it is all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's even
21
better.
plus to drink, but all ages.
Right.
Sure.
So we're getting the bus. It'll leave from downtown Scranton, or in front of the bog, right between the bog and the barber shop. Hang out either place, and
You'll
you'll
find
be there.
us. Yeah.
And you get, the ride. It leaves at 7, and it'll be back by midnight. And then we're gonna have an after party at the bog from midnight on.
Nice.
So you get the ride, ticket to the show, and
The album.
and that's $25, and there'll be complimentary beers on the bus.
Yeah.
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 You gotta be 21 to drink.
Well, yeah, of course.
So how does one get tickets for that?
They can hit any one of these band members up, or they can stop by a Loyalty Barber Shop where anytime during business hours, and somebody will get you a ticket.
Yeah, we're in the process
We're
of
gonna-
making laminates.
Yeah, we're gonna get like a lanyard, like laminate, so that you have that for the bus, and that'll be your.
Which will be hand drawn by Aaron, by the way. That's like
The
a
talent
limited
Yeah,
is
edition.
hand
done
of
it yet,
Aaron.
but,
That's a collector's item.
That's what it'll be. Yes, you have that other little artifact to bring home. as well.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you guys have anything specific planned for this show that you maybe haven't done before, or anything to make this one particularly special?
Well, we have.
New
We're gonna
songs.
have a shit ton of merch that we never had before.
Yeah,
We have some new
albums.
designs that are completely fucking dope, and we're gonna have albums, cassettes, and CDs, and we have some new songs that we never played before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we're stoked about. for
Yeah.
Sure.
So for those of you who have a super old ass car that only has a cassette player, you're set.
Yeah.
You now have another cassette to get stuck
It's
in there.
becoming a thing again.
Come on, get your boombox out. You know it's somewhere in the garage.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
I mean, who even uses CD anyway? Like that too. Like I mean, it's gonna be on Spotify. It's gonna be on every other thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say digitally.
So it's
it'll
kinda
be
like-
you
one-
can actually get like the lo-fi type vibe from the tape. Like
Yeah.
Right.
I love the tape.
Me too.
I have the tape deck at my house, and I have one in my truck too. But I mean, that's weird.
I mean, they compress
Well,
compress the
syringe
shit
has
out of
delicious
it.
percent.
You
Yeah.
know? When you have to stream it, they shrink it down to
Plug that
nothing.
too.
So.
Just plug everything. Plug your butt.
Just plug
Plug your butt.
just plug it.
Oh, show everybody the poster since you
Oh,
guys
yeah,
have it here.
We're
Isn't
having
that
problems.
beautiful?
Keep an eye out
promoting
for
it on,
these.
on Facebook because it doesn't meet their standards. But we're gonna have. If you see a
Obviously.
modified version of that,
It's gonna be my hand over her breasts.
but,
You know, nothing funnier or more hypocritical than a major corporation telling you about their standards.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's I've always been amused by
Some
that.
of the shit that
what a
you can
fucking
find
joke!
on it.
Like,
They'll give all your information out for free, and then
Right,
tell
right,
you you
yeah.
can't
Right.
put a picture up.
can I tell you? There's a really funny side story here that I have to. It jarred a memory that I heard the other day, and I was in the shop, and Keith was telling me a story about this guy that like bicks his head or gets a straight razor shave or whatever, and it keeps getting flagged every time they post a picture because Facebook thinks it looks like a dick.
Oh my god! Why am I just hearing this story now?
Because I just didn't even think
We
about
hang
it
out all
until
the
now.
time, and when I'm
If you
hearing
want to
this
hear about
story
it,
now-
ask Keith Barbuti. But I was
Well,
like,
wait a second.
I just kept saying, what?
So what you're saying right
What?
now to everybody on the Infonet is that Keith Barbuti shaves dickheads. That's what
No.
you're saying. So you
That's not what
gotta,
he's
you gotta.
I mean, if you could interpret it that way,
Well,
through-
you said it was a dinghy.
through,
I don't
yeah,
know.
right.
I'm just saying.
Handle him. So then it's
Whatever.
What do you want to do? Pinch his leg?
there's a guy, whatever.
what he said.
I mean, I don't know his name, and I don't even know him, but we were like crying, laughing. I'm like, I can't fucking believe it. And they're like, yeah, every time it comes up, they think it's a dick.
I don't think.
Whatever's like
I
the
don't
shape
think-
of his head or
crazy.
whatever.
Why?
That's awesome.
They just think it's not. What do you mean, poor Keith? It's not Keith's head. He's got a full head of hair. Are you understanding?
Actually, I mean, Keith's doing a good shave. Like, it's
Yeah.
Keith's hair is luxurious.
It's so smooth.
It's
that-
so smooth that
yeah.
Facebook thinks it's a dick. That's the name of the next album. Facebook thinks it's a dick.
Oh, they'll be banning us now.
Yeah.
It's the Miller Lite bond.
Well, you know, I
Miller
meant to
Lite.
bring this up before. I always felt that, heavy metal, rock in general, should always be a little bit dangerous. You know, should always feel a little bit, mysterious and whatever. And I think we've kind of lost that along the way, especially once, like the oxymoronic Christian rock came into being.
Yeah.
You know, like that type of stuff is just like that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Too,
you
yeah.
realize like what a goofy thing that is.
Yeah,
Totally.
Right.
To try and take something so cool and badass and just
Right.
make it so lame.
Right.
It's-
Just leave it be. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Like, look at Black Sabbath. I mean, Ozzy, you see him on TV. He's no fucking Satanist.
Oh, for
you know?
sure.
Like, the dude, like, and for me, like, Sabbath is the original Doom thing. You know, like that whole sound, which is really groovy. That's kind of what we do. We're on that groove train. You know, this groovy bass player right here.
there's moments. Yeah. It's like, I mean,
It's hard to fit it. We play the outsides of that box. So
Yeah.
put it that way.
yeah.
You know?
There's a bunch of different influences, but that's definitely one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we don't all come from the same backgrounds as far as we all come from a heavy background, but it's all different to an extent
Yeah.
where
Right.
we couldn't really fall into stereotypes because we don't all know those stereotypes even exist.
I agree.
So let's see. Any Republic Audio says he hearts you guys.
Thank you so much.
Leslie says White Claw Wednesday. I don't know if that means anything to anybody
It's
here.
not White Claw, but you let me know where and when.
Sarah says catching a skull in Philly was the best black eye ever. Did you get hit with the skull?
Oh, nice. I mean, not nice.
That's not nice. It's kind of cool. I don't know.
Uncle Joe, which that's literally what he goes by. It says rock on. So okay.
Thanks, Uncle Joe.
Somebody's Uncle Joe out there.
Thanks, Joe.
Says
Thanks, Joe.
Have some respect, Uncle Joe, full title.
So before we go really quick, I also wanted to ask you, for those of you who followed your other projects, so The Hill You Die On still has that album that is going to come out at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at some point, I guess it's. I mean, it's kind of like hasn't been really like a high priority for a bit, but now there was some activity in the studio. They did some overdubs and like. Kind of like did some remixing and just getting it buttoned up so that, everybody was happy with the outcome of the record. And it should be coming out soon. Cool. Yeah.
And These Idle Hands, is that still active or is that kind of...
It isn't, but it's not like Knives Through the Heart dead, but it's just not active anymore because but just with... I don't know. I guess there's a lot of reasons, but I still love those guys dearly. I'm proud of what we did, and we're still friends, and we still hang out and stuff. But it's just kind of
awesome.
like, well, thank you. And then like it's kind of like,
It's a great album.
thank you, appreciate it.
Really, it's balls to the wall rock and roll.
We did exactly what we set out to do. We wanted to get out and tour, and we played like 20 cities in the U.S. on 2 tours and traveled thousands of miles, and we we had a fucking great time doing it, you know, and I love those guys, and I will forever. But, you know, John's got a professional career that, you know, he has one path, and then Chris has another path, and then I, you know, started getting deeper into this, and then that's just kind of how it went. And AJ was with us, I think, at the beginning of the first tour, and then right to the end. And you know, I became friends with him through this too. So like, and then we're gonna be working on another project together soon. So it's like, it's just kind of like this, you know, it keeps like morphing and picking up people and then moving on. And so nobody's really got hard feelings over it. And we might even have a release of the Unplugged show that we did at Karl Hall. We're talking about releasing that.
Nice.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there was ever another show again. But right now it's just kind of like on hiatus, and I don't really know
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but that's where it's at.
So for anybody who wanted to know, there you go. There's your answer. So what do you guys have coming up after this release show? You know, what are your plans going into the future?
We're gonna be really happy that we finally have some content out that we can. We're gonna be submitting to try to a lot of the metal festivals and stuff like that. And we're gonna try to book some shows out of town, and we're gonna take the show on the fucking road. You know, we're gearing up to get we're stocked on merch, and we're getting a vehicle to handle the thing, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go on the road. We're gonna start with small tours, and we're playing in Staten Island. I don't know.
Friday the 13th in March, right?
March 13th.
March 13th, and then we're waiting on a date in
Post.
Brooklyn, and we're gonna go for it.
Just
you know?
spread
See
our
what
wings.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anything else you guys want to mention quick before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'd like to dedicate not only this podcast and everything that we do to Brian Craig. We've all been. Me and Aaron in particular were, so very close to him. It was hard to get through the motions of what we had to do due to the fact that everything was going on, and then when he passed, it was really hard hit for not only all of Scranton, everybody, and.
In a way, he was part of the band.
He was very much part of the band because he was supposed to be the drummer of this band. And we always basically said, and I'd like to, I got sidetracked. We didn't mention Jason Macheska, who's a great drummer, who was our original drummer.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the brother of our keyboardist, Jamie.
Yeah, and he's in Soul Satellite now, which is great. We went to see him the other night. And Jay was just so cool and so awesome. And I was like, when Brian gets better, when he was on, when he starts feeling well enough to play, you're gonna go to lead guitar or whatever. And he was like, yeah, fucking awesome, whatever, So, but Brian was supposed to be the drummer of this band,
and he was part of every kind of step along the way in the beginning stages. Like Jim shared
every poorly written guitar riff that I did before I gave it to Anthony on a fucking cell phone. I played it to him, whether in a hospital bed or at his house or whatever, and.
He heard the mixes first.
He was the first to hear everything.
He heard the mixes before I heard the mixes.
Yeah.
He's definitely in it, everything that we do.
Yeah.
For sure.
And, you never really recover from that loss. I mean, nobody ever really will. But, I'm super grateful and thankful that I got to make music with him. And, Aaron was in his first band, and I was in his last band. And
American You. That was our first band, yeah.
Side over was the shit.
Played in a jug band with Brian.
Yeah.
From hardcore to
He's a
jug.
jack of all trades, man.
Yeah, he was
one of my favorite drummers for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best guys.
Best guy ever.
Best guy, best drummer, best bartender.
Best human being.
Best barber, all that. Yeah, he was just the best. And, we can't say enough about him. We love him, so. He's very, I can say his presence is very much in this band, and even, beyond his passing, like the last fucking thing that we ever wanted to do was travel to Philadelphia to play that show because it was the day after his funeral, and
he would have wanted us to be there and play.
Me and Aaron had just been like, carried him to his final resting place the day before that, and we had to go. And I know he would have wanted us to go, and he was Brian had such almost like a childlike enthusiasm about music, but heavy metal in particular.
Right.
Like he fucking loved heavy metal,
Yeah.
and he was so happy. He was so stoked about the band. He loved it. He really had a lot of great things to say, and it made me really happy because he had integrity, and he would not fucking shit you. Like, I've had stuff that I did, and he was like, that's whatever. Like,
Yeah, he would always support you.
need
He
some
tells
fucking,
you straight up if it's good or shit.
Absolutely.
And
He
that's
would
it.
just
And-
shit on you, and that was it.
And it's not a. It
You're
wasn't
still
in a bad,
supporting you
it's
or
not a
shit.
bad way. He would just tell you to let you know, like, this is.
You need that.
That's a real friend. That's what a real friend does.
Sure.
Exactly.
And when he was that stoked about it, I was elated, because I know that he would never bullshit. So, he's very much with us, and after we went through the motions to get down to the Philly show, it was like almost like we got there, we did it, and it was like that was when that was really honestly in my whole musical career the first time that I actually reached a point where I said, like, I just kind of let go and just
Checked
fucking
out.
and it went really great, and he's very much with us all the time.
Very missed.
Yeah.
And it's probably a good release for a lot of that balled up energy.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And
All we could do is remember all the good stuff now, man. That's it. And all the happy things, Because,
it was amazing to see like all the people on social media, just telling all these stories,
Yeah,
and it
it's
was
great.
like the stuff that you never heard or whatever. And it was it's almost like everybody had the same experience.
It's
like
good.
he
It's a
was
good
he was
thing.
like everybody's best friend.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
It was amazing, like when they had the Bride Day thing. That was overwhelming to see.
The turnout to that.
The turnout
was
was
unreal.
incredible. It was like, it was unbelievable,
Yeah.
man.
You couldn't move in there.
No.
Just shows you how much love there was
Staggering.
out there, and that's the beauty of our area. There, no matter what kind of bullshit there is, if you like this or like that,
Right.
I think everyone comes together.
Yeah.
It's all love,
For sure.
It was there up front, right there. I saw it, so it's cool. Well deserved.
indeed.
Well, cheers to Chugger.
Sugar.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You only schmuck a beer over here.
Thank you so much for tuning in tonight.
Thank
Hope you
you.
enjoyed the show. And if you like this, if you want to help out the band, you want to help us out, please share. Let people know about this, and go to the show. Don't just say, hey, good job on social media. You actually have to go to the shows. It's so important. And this is going to be a great one. If you're into hard rock or into heavy metal, this is a show to go to.
Or even hip hop in the case of Lucas Hex.
That's right, exactly. So, there's a lot of, in this day and age, too, where everybody's kind of got a million different genres on their, in their Spotify playlist or their, do people
iPod.
still listen to iPods? I don't know.
I still have a touch, so that's how out of touch I am.
So that's Saturday, December 7th. Karl Hall
Just
in
make a
Wilkes-Barre,
dad
Black Nihil,
joke.
Black Hole Heart, Cut Up Naked Teenagers, and Lucas Hex. So they're all bands we featured on the site as well before. So you're probably familiar if you're a regular reader of the site. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you share. And we will see you here next week with a completely different type of musical group. So we went from hip hop last week to black and doom metal this week. We'll do something different next week. We'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.
Thank you.